Good morning, everybody. Happy Black Friday to you. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know I got to bring in my co-host, my guy, Big O. Happy Friday, Big O. Happy Black Friday to you.
Yeah. How are you, Trana?
I'm well. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How was your Thanksgiving? You celebrate Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay. How was your day yesterday? Whatever it is that you did.
It was relaxing, still family time, nice and relaxing. How about you?
Yeah, no, it was solo dough around here, man. You know what I'm saying? Didn't really catch up with the family. It's too many elders in different places. So, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of sat it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, it wasn't eventful. I'll say that much.
COVID holidays have changed a lot. That's for sure, my friend.
Yeah, for some people, for a lot of people, for millions of people, it did not. For millions of people, life went on as usual. And we'll see what happens. We'll see in a few weeks here what the numbers around COVID is looking like, and if there's a spike that's come out of this holiday weekend.
Right. We see Nikki keep saying it's those small gatherings and you think you're with family, but if it's not your home pod, that's where we're seeing spread. So we'll see.
Right. Speaking of that, we're joined today by Nikki Barron's going to be talking about some COVID updates. We're also joined by Kevin Schofield, who has a real interesting take on what's MMR, and that's measles, mumps, rubella. I'm saying it right. Basically, a vaccination that most people get as a child, and how that might play into COVID and the COVID vaccination and how COVID impacts people, at least here in America. Then also we got Laura Kluis, the Intentionalist, and it's all about shopping with Black businesses today. So we're going to be talking to Laura as well. But today is also Native American Heritage Day. And, and this is also part of Native American Heritage Month. And we've been on message the whole month. The other day, I got a chance to sit down with Seattle City Councilmember Deborah Juarez. Long interview. It was 44 minutes, and it was really about Native American culture and how things fit in here in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest, the past and the future, some everything else. You can see that right now on don't go right now, but after we get off air, you go to our YouTube page and you'll see the interview there with Councilmember Juarez. Here's a short clip, though, from the beginning of the interview with myself and Councilmember Juarez. We really thought here at the Morning Update Show that it was important to reach out to our Native brothers and sisters, especially during Native American Heritage Month, and really talk about Native American heritage. So I, again, want to thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. And it's nice that we have a month dedicated to Native American Heritage Month besides Indigenous Peoples Day. But probably like you, it should be, I know there's the Black History Month. It probably should just be part and parcel of life that people recognize Indigenous folks, and beyond the performative, I want to recognize them on Indigenous land. It's really a way of living and a way of being raised, and how you treat people and how you respect elders and wisdom and age and experience and tradition and culture and language. It's just kind of all part of that. So thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. What is, when we talk about Native American heritage, especially here in Seattle, it's so much, there's so many things that are like Native in names and cities, locations, and things like that, almost to the point though that it's not recognized as Native anymore. If that makes any sense to you.
It's become anglicized to the point where Mount Rainier is like really Mount Tahoma or Seattle, and all these, when you hear Alki, those are all from the Lashute language. When I'm back home in Browning, Blackfeet country, it's the same thing. People don't even recognize anymore. We've become part of the scenery, but what's more important is people should know the history behind that and why certain places have names. And like any language comes from culture and landscape and the territory in which you're brought up, and you have names for things. And you're right, we don't always recognize the importance of language in the naming and sense of place and sacredness. And so to have it where people are starting to understand that That's very important.
All right. So Councilmember Juarez there. And also, so she went off script and actually gave me a quiz. And the quiz you can actually find on the Crosscut websites. Like, how much do you know about Native American culture here at Pacific Northwest? And I got 7 out of 8. And it really could have been 8 out of 8. It was 7 out of 8 there. But this is question number 2 that she posed to me.
Okay, let's continue. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2. How many federally recognized tribes are there in the United States? A, 574, B, 832, C, 59, D, 75. 574, 832, 59, or 75.
I'm going to say 574.
Yes, 2 for 2.
All right. So, yeah, I got 7 out of 8. Apparently, you know what I'm saying, other people around, like so somebody on her staff that got like 4 out of 8. So 7 out of 8. I told her, though, I'm like, you know, I'm part of the culture. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Oh, absolutely. I'm glad that you got that recorded because you're always spitting facts around here about Washington, about the history. You know a lot, my friend. It's good that you got it captured.
You know, people know it's real deal. It's not just me talking. There was one thing I wanted to bring up here, actually, before we move on to our other stories, and I'll add it here myself. This was on Twitter. I did put a tweet out yesterday. It was so well responded on Twitter and on social media. And just, you know, was just kind of echoing our thankfulness over here. I said, I'm thankful for the people of Seattle, so many of whom are struggling right now, one way or another, but who remain stoic, resilient, and optimistic. I see you and I give you thanks. So, you know, tweeted that out yesterday. And real receptive, you know, because you keep it real, man. People out there struggling and everything, and acknowledge that.
Absolutely. I mean, it does take all of us. And I think the acknowledgement is important right now. We're seeing that. I saw that on people's feeds all day yesterday as so many Americans were celebrating Thanksgiving. More were just like, look, let's learn about the history here so we can be educated and informed. It was beautiful.
All right. So we'll take it to, we got 2 national stories today. One's national, but it's about local. But the other one is still kind of following what's going on in Washington, D.C. Yo, it was wild yesterday. I was watching, like, the president was calling troops overseas for Thanksgiving, and he just he went on and on. Anyway, here's a short clip right here from NBC News.
Tonight, defiant and denying his own defeat, President Trump answered questions for the first time since Election Day.
I don't know what is going to happen. I know one thing, Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes.
Asked if he will concede more obstruction.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
Pushed about whether he would vacate the White House January 20th if the electors finalize the Biden victory.
Certainly I will. Certainly I will.
The president's legal team has not shown fraud or irregularities that would overturn the results, but the president vented.
And the whole world is watching, and the whole world is laughing at our electoral process.
President Trump angry and lashing out minutes after he thanked overseas troops for their service. He criticized Joe Biden for forming a cabinet and would not publicly commit to attending the inauguration. Earlier today, Joe Biden followed a more traditional playbook. In a video message from Delaware, President-elect Joe Biden urged a small stay-at-home Thanksgiving because of COVID.
It's a personal sacrifice that each of our families can make and should make to save somebody else's life. But it's also a shared sacrifice for the whole country.
The president, who spent much of his holiday on the golf course, was also taking more swings on Twitter, again to impugn Joe Biden's victory and undermine election integrity. The president's anger boiled over at reporters.
Don't talk to, I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
And President Trump says he will go back on the campaign trail, committing to go to Georgia, where he will work on behalf of 2 Senate Republicans who are in runoff races that will determine the control of the Senate. The president also would not comment on whether he would run again himself in 2024, insisting that the 2020 race is not yet over, claiming he won with only hints of recognition that he knows his time here at the White House is nearly over.
All right. And so, yeah, it was like 36 or 40 minutes yesterday. He said that Stacey Abrams has already harvested 900,000 votes. He said, I mean, he kind of went on and on. And I think just right now, a court in Pennsylvania actually just kicked out another one of President Trump's lawsuits over there. But oh, no, man, the saga continues.
Yeah, it definitely does. And my question immediately goes to how much of the taxpayers' dollars are being spent on these cases. I really wonder about our resources as a country and what is happening here on the back end. Again, yeah. I think this is a big thing, and we'll be seeing how this plays out. Oh, but it's crazy that he's still making those kinds of sentiments. But right. Also, we're used to him doing that. So. Unfortunate.
He has to pay for the for all these court challenges, which is why the Trump administration sent out over 300 fundraising emails, because they have to pay for it. But moving on. So this was Wednesday night on Nightline. So Nightline was back 6 months later. You remember we were actually on Nightline, or it's not quite 6 months, so June, July, August, September, October. Oh, it was 6 months since George Floyd. And so Nightline did a follow-up. You'll see some of our footage in here, but this is a clip where Nightline talked to Seattle Police Chief Diaz. And it was real interesting at the end of the clip what Chief Diaz says about investment in community.
Some of the loudest cries over the past 6 months have been for radical change, including calls to defund the police. City leaders in Baltimore, Portland, and Philadelphia pledging to drastically cut or reallocate funding of their police departments.
I think every police department right now is trying to figure out how they look at policing in general. How do they reimagine what policing should be? But it's really about looking at our policies and practices and our vision of every police department to ensure that we're moving in the right direction.
Let's bring this down.
In Seattle, weeks of fierce protests culminated in a takeover of a police precinct. Protesters created a cop-free zone. Bowing to activist demands, the city council pledged to slash the department's budget by 50%. In response, the city's first black police chief resigned.
It really is about the overarching lack of respect for the officers.
Her successor, Chief Adrian Diaz, facing pressure from activists to make good on those cuts. What's your take on the defund the police movement?
I don't support kind of the abolitionist movement of getting rid of police departments. I want to make sure that the department is run efficiently, that the department has its resources, that the department also has the tools to ensure that if we're looking at restorative justice, if we're looking at programs to support our community, that there is investments in those communities.
All right, so you see Chief Diaz right there. He talked about restorative justice. He talked about if there's programs in the community to make sure that there's investment in community. This is City of Seattle Police Chief.
You know, and it really is the right sentiment right now. Oh, I think it's to have a stern kind of position around, hey, defund. Obviously, he's a police chief, so he's not going to be like, yeah, I'm totally for defunding our entire operation here. But I like that he's talking about understanding there are community-rooted solutions with regard to taking some of the pressure off of the police, and how can we fund those programs appropriately so that folks on the ground can actually give those kinds of services to their community. I like that. I like hearing that from Chief Diaz.
All right, and you see, and by the way, we let Nightline borrow that footage. We still never sold any footage, and some of that footage was from the original broadcast that Nightline did on June 18th, 2020. We were in that segment with Chief Scoggins that I played. Was it earlier this week or whatever with Chief Scoggins? That's how I remember. I'm like, yo, we were there in the clip. All right, so we're going to move along, and we're going to bring in Nikki here in the news part of this. Please, all you bring in Nikki Barron. Nikki was busy on her COVID show, and Nikki actually had 2 interviews that were real important. One was with the Superior Courts, talking about the eviction program that we mentioned the other day to try to head off evictions between tenants and landlords. And the other one is she talked to School Director Brandon Hersey. What's up? How are you?
I'm good. Just hanging out at home.
All right. So I know we're going to see you again in our segment later on here this morning about COVID, but maybe you could set up these clips. The first one is about the Superior Court and their program around evictions.
Right. So I was able to catch up with a commissioner working on this, and essentially the King County Court is trying to create a program of mediation so landlords and tenants can come together before the eviction moratorium is expired to make a resolution. So in the interview, which will air in its entirety on an upcoming episode of our COVID show, they discuss that essentially, both parties can come to the table, and it's not just, hey, let's make a payment plan, but you also get an expert who can help you with finding grants and other resources to help actually pay that back rent, and the landlord and the tenant get to come to the table. So here's a little clip where I ask him to explain what the process looks like when you join this program.
At this point, there are 2 stages: the pre-moratorium lifting and after the moratoriums have lifted. Right now, it is a voluntary program, and it's started by the landlord providing a notice. It's like a 10-day notice to the tenant expressing interest in and essentially offering, inviting the tenant to join them in this process and scheduling a mediation session. They're handled by the Dispute Resolution Center, King County, and there are staff attorneys available from the Housing Justice Project, volunteer attorneys. There is no cost to anyone for this process, and free interpreters are also available if needed. But there's a notice that goes out, and if the tenant doesn't respond to that, there's a second 10-day notice that will go out. The DRC representative, they are all trained, call them eviction resolution specialists. They're all prepared to try and contact the tenant directly to encourage them to come and take part in the process. And again, the hope to resolve any outstanding non-payment of rent issues in a context that will allow people to sort of think outside the box a little more than going into court, and just with the rather limited remedies that are available in that kind of setting.
All right. So this is good. This eviction resolution program down there at Superior Court, hopefully it can head off some evictions, but also a fairer system for tenants as well as landlords. A lot of people think landlords are big corporate property owners, which are out there, but there's a lot of mom and pops who the home that they're renting is their primary stream of income. So they need their money too.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you, Nikki, for, catching up with the Superior Court on this. I think a lot of people out there are really concerned about how this is going to affect their households. And we know that there are a lot of people that are months behind on their rent due to COVID. So it is going to need some type of stepping system or incremental system to get them to be able to remedy that. So I'm happy to hear all of this, honestly, and thanks for catching up with them. That's really important information for our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so next you talk to School Board Director for District 7, Brandon Hersey.
Right. Speak a little bit about kind of Seattle's perspective on this concept of outcomes versus safety.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it really can't even be, the conversation that we have around that can't just be Seattle specific. It's got to be, in my opinion, quite frankly, what are we doing to keep our students safe and healthy and keep their families alive versus what are the potential outcomes from missing this time of in-person education? And as an educator myself, teaching second graders, some of our most vulnerable students, what I will say is that kids are incredibly resilient. And when we're thinking about all the risks that come along with children potentially going back to school, carrying the virus back home, especially to generational households, I don't see how an individual could look at everything that's happening across our country in states where coronavirus is exploding beyond all measure and not really have a clear understanding of what is the pathway forward to slowing the spread and eventually moving past this virus. There was actually just a study that came out in the from the University of Princeton where it showed that coronavirus in children are actually beginning to be seen in the largest coronavirus case tracking study, that there's new evidence that children could be key to the spread of coronavirus, right? So I say that to say that, as you mentioned before, the evidence is very, very conflicting. We frankly just don't know. And in situations like this, it is our job as elected officials and the leaders of the system to be conservative with the health and the safety of not only our children, but their families and the communities in which they live, learn, and play. So we have to be prepared to make those decisions and do everything that we can on the back end to ensure that we're making up for as much missed educational opportunities as possible. But for right now, as we even start to see our cases in King County continue to spike, we have to do what we know is right and continue to move forward with a remote model in the interest of keeping our students and their families safe.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oh.
There we go. All right. So we got cut off there in the beginning, but we jumped right into the clip. What else did you pull out of your interview with Director Hersey?
Right. So when I caught up with Director Hersey on our COVID update show on Wednesday, what we discussed was what data is the school board looking at when it comes to making decisions around safety and the pandemic. We talked about who actually makes the decisions and weighs in. And then we had a really robust conversation about weighing the risk of COVID and transmission with student outcomes. And so you saw one bit of that conversation just there in the clip, but you can find the full conversation as well as Omari and I's commentary on the full episode, which is easy to find, is whereweconverge.com. Go to our COVID resources page and you find the full episode. You can also listen to it as a podcast on your favorite streaming platform. And I'll put the link here in the comments for you.
All right, Nikki, thank you very much. We're going to catch up with you later on in the show so we can get our COVID update.
Yeah.
All right. So next in our headlines, after that, we're going to jump directly into Kevin Schofield. But if you could put this one up here, Alia. It says here, 21 more Seattle area restaurants and bars closed permanently during COVID-19 fall surge. And man, it's a few of these that I used to go to. I see Barca, Bar Sue. We used to go there. Motown on Monday for Bar Sue. The Boar's Nest, El Diablo Coffee. I mean, it's quite a few. These businesses, they're closing up and they're not coming back.
Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about this and how hard it was for restaurateurs, bar owners. I mean, literally, this has been a hard hit for those businesses in particular, especially when we think about the insurances that were available to them. And hey, if they were doing anything, if they were trying to, change their service, they were having a hard time. So again, this is really hitting the economy very hard. And I think it's important, again, when we reiterate why it's important for local people to support local businesses and local business owners and local establishments. This right here is exactly why.
Yeah, and we're seeing it. I mean, downtown, the block that we're on here, almost every business on this block now is closed, like closed permanently. There's a few that have different operating hours, but it's just closed up for sale, and some everything else. So Anyways, on different information, still around COVID, man, COVID's taking over everything. Oh yeah, if you could please bring in Kevin Schofield. We got Kevin Schofield back there in the green room. There he is. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, how you doing? Happy Thanksgiving. I actually just as quick intro here. I just want to tell you how thankful I am for you and Trey and Nikki and the rest of your amazing team at Converge. I learn so much from you guys every day, and I appreciate you, Trey. I appreciate you, Nikki. I appreciate you. You're all just doing fantastic work, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude. It's the morning after Thanksgiving, and you're there doing the job, bringing important information to all of us. So just thank you. I learned so much from you, and what you're doing is incredibly important.
Thank you, Mr. Schofield. Man, I appreciate it. We all do. And by the way, you bring us a lot of info too. You know what I'm saying? And even today, we got something kind of interesting here, and it caught my attention. We were having a conversation about some research that you read, and I'll let you tell everybody. We do got a time constraint here, but I'll let you.
Mario always point that out to me because I'm worried. Yeah, so I've got I'm doing a weekly column for Seattle, South Seattle Emerald now, looking at just long reads. What are things we should all be reading? And one I came across this week, actually two papers came across, have to do with some of the COVID puzzles we've been struggling with. Like why does COVID hit older people harder than younger people? Right. And particularly right around the age 50, like if you're older than 50, it hits you hard. And if you're younger than 50, really not so much. Or things like, why are there some countries that have really low fatality rates for COVID and other countries that have much higher ones? And so this is something that the medical researchers have really been puzzling with for a while. There was this research paper out in kind of March, May timeframe that suggested that it may have something to do with one of the vaccines that we all get as kids called the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, rubella. And, it's a 2-dose thing. We get one like when we're about 12 months old and another one when we're about 4 to 5. And because there seemed to be some relation to this. So if you look at like Hong Kong, which is super close to Wuhan, where the whole COVID thing started, had a super, super low fatality rate. Even though lots of surrounding areas had much higher ones. But last year, Hong Kong did a big MMR vaccination campaign that may have something to do with it. And things like the USS Roosevelt, right? You may remember back in the spring, they had a huge outbreak on board, but they had almost no fatalities from it, right? Well, it turns out that the US military revaccinates everybody with MMR when they enlist. So people said, well, what's going on? So there's this new paper that came out last Friday that was a different group of researchers who followed up on that. I said, I wonder if there's anything to that. And they looked at people who'd received the MMR vaccine and but it tested positive for COVID. And they said they tested to see sort of how much residual antibodies from the MMR vaccine was left in their blood system. And they found out that the people who had more antibodies for mumps specifically had lesser symptoms of COVID, right? So basically you look at them and go, it sure looks like the MMR vaccine is giving people at least some level of resistance or protection from COVID. And this explains a lot. Right, not only sort of which countries are seeing kind of lower fatality rates, but also it explains kind of the age difference, right? Because kids, we make kids get MMR vaccine before they can go to school, right? So kids, almost all kids in the country get it at a very young age. And here's the interesting thing: the MMR vaccine was introduced in 1971. Almost exactly 50 years ago. So if you're older than 50, there's a really good chance you didn't get it. But if you're younger than 50, you almost definitely got it. So it goes back and explains like, why do we see people over 50 having a harder time with this and people younger than 50, having much lesser symptoms of getting this. So, there's some, before everybody runs out to go get an MMR vaccine, right? Or, a booster shot. First of all, there's some important caveats. One of them is, this is one study of this showing this, right? And it isn't science until we can replicate it, until we can repeat it. That's rule number one for science. If you can't repeat it, it's not science. And the other is, everybody's really busy scaling up COVID vaccine production distribution right now. They have enough MMR for, what they expected was vaccinating a new round of kids every year. So, there isn't like unlimited supply of this. But I think what's really important for us all to do is, if we have kids or nieces or nephews or brothers and sisters that are young, school age or younger, go check their vaccination records and make sure that they've gotten vaccinated for MMR, right? And this has been a big issue this year, right? And in fact, I saw just on Cairo TV last night, they did a piece on this, that because we've all been locked down for COVID and, a lot of medical facilities have been shut down, there's a lot of kids who are behind on their vaccinations this year, right? Who should have gotten vaccinations that didn't get them. This is really the time to go check those vaccination records and make sure that all of our kids are up to date. And if they're not up to date, particularly in the MMR vaccine, but all the other ones too, go get those vaccines as soon as possible.
Right. So this will be up on the South Seattle Emerald later on today?
Hope so. Yep. Should be up there. Yeah.
This is
a couple of really interesting research papers. Yeah.
I'm going to connect you and Nikki. I think that this would be a real good conversation for you guys to have at length. Because this is the lane that she's in, is gathering a lot of this information. And that's interesting, this correlation. Like you said, it still needs to be all vetted out and everything else. But it's kind of interesting when you think about that and you think about 50 years and this and that. I mean, the thing is with COVID is it just keeps evolving.
It really does.
Remember washing our hands and singing happy birthday?
Yeah, it was like, ABCs, you had to do the ABC song. Kevin, thank you for that insight, SEC insight. And also thank you for your thanks to the team. And I'll agree with that it's been beautiful to learn from you as well, my friend. So thank you for that.
All right, and people want to go check out, always go to sccinsight.com. And that's where it gets wordy and nerdy, but that's what we go there for. And then later on here today on the South Seattle Emerald, there's a column that Kevin wrote that goes further about what he just discussed right here. And then also we're going to connect Kevin with Nikki Barron. So sound good to you, Kevin?
Sounds great. I'd love to talk to Nikki about this.
Fantastic. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we got Laura Kluis, the Intentionalist. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you who might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, I want to thank you for all your support. Definitely want to thank all you out there, all you as well, but all of you out there for your support at Converge Media. Go to whereweconverge.com/donate, or you can go to whereweconverge/shop. There's a lot of people buying gear today. Pick up some Converge gear. We're out there. Speaking of shopping and supporting businesses and local businesses, please bring Laura Kluis onto the screen. Hey, there she is. Hey, Laura.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, and good to see that you are still on the grind, making it happen and bringing awareness to small businesses all around the Seattle area. Before we jump into what's going on in Black businesses that people can go and support, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and about the Intentionalist?
Absolutely. Well, a pleasure to be with you here on what we're calling Support Black Owned Friday. I'm Laura Kluis. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm originally from Seattle. So I grew up here in the city, left for about 20 years for college and life and work, and then came back. And the city that I came back to about 5 years ago had changed just a little bit. And what really struck me was this growing tension between growth and transformation in our city and underlying questions about who still had a physical place and who felt a sense of belonging here in Seattle. And when it was all said and done, what I realized was that more needed to be done to make it easy for all of us to find, learn about, and support the Main Street brick and mortar small businesses that really are the heart and soul of our communities. And so that's why I founded Intentionalist.
All right, good stuff. You know, we've been following you, the Intentionalist, for a while, and actually a lot of the same businesses that you highlight a lot, but a lot of the same businesses that we've highlighted over the past few years. Want to bring this up. Let me bring it on screen here real quick. Add the screen. There it is right there. So this is the Shop Black Owned on Black Friday, and this is on your website, theintentionalist.com. So tell us all about it and tell us what the idea is here.
Well, so much about Intentionalist is about encouraging folks to remember that everyday decisions about where we eat, drink, and shop shape the communities that we're a part of. And so on Black Friday, we wanted to reach out to everybody who posted a black square on social media earlier this year, or marched, or had been showing up in support of racial justice through words to take some action. As part of our holiday content on intentionalist.com, we've created a series of gift guides to make it easy for folks to find gifts for everybody on their list, sourced from over 90 diverse local brick and mortar businesses. But for Black Friday in particular, we wanted to shout out specifically Black-owned brick and mortar small businesses in the greater Seattle area, and we've kind of grouped them according to different gift ideas.
All right. Trey Holiday?
Yeah, I love this, Laura. Thank you so much for your work at The Intentionalist. And I wanted to just ask you, because this has been explosive, right? So many people. We've seen South Seattle Emerald had a list. I know Africatown just launched africatownmarketplace.us. So businesses are registering there. I love seeing this congregation of folks saying, let's figure out where Black businesses are and how to support them. How have you felt in terms of the explosion of this spotlight now on Black businesses, particularly with Black Friday?
Yeah, so it's been incredible to see growing momentum around using our dollars, right, to put our thumb on the scales of economic justice. Because ultimately, we all know the important role, the oftentimes transformational role that small business ownership can play within communities, within families. And so really the shift in terms of the increase in the number of folks who are stepping up to both create resources and, in intentionalist parlance, spend like it matters, put our money where our mouth is needed, it's necessary, and I think it's long overdue.
That's what I'm talking about. Put your thumb on the scale of economic justice.
Yeah.
All right,
and
now.
I just gotta say it too. I had to do it today. You know, I had to come into the studio, Laura, all the way right. From head to toe, I got Seattle Blackness all on me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to do it, and definitely for today. And I love doing that, supporting our local folks. So I agree with you.
Laura, can you tell our audience how they can catch up with the Intentionalist?
Absolutely. So our website is intentionalist.com. You can also follow us on social media. On Instagram, we're at Intentionalist with an _. Same thing for Twitter. And the other thing that I want to call out, just because there was the discussion earlier in the show about both the persistent impact of COVID in terms of, health outcomes, in terms of economic outcomes. And one of the things that we created at the onset of the pandemic was an online gift certificate marketplace. And I want to shout that out because there are businesses like Flowers Just For You, owned by Miss Mary and the CD, right? And folks like Mary have had physical gift certificates like this. Restaurants in the ID, like Phnom Penh Noodle House or Tai Tung, one of the oldest Chinese restaurants in Seattle, right? And these are immigrant-owned, POC-owned small businesses that have had physical gift certificates but didn't have an easy way to sell them online. They didn't have e-commerce functionality. And so what we did was we created an online marketplace where folks can go and purchase gift certificates from, at this point, over 60, and we're adding more every day, different, diverse Main Street brick and mortar small businesses. And all of the sales from the gift certificates are going right to those small businesses. There's no commission or fees, because the other thing that we're about as intentionalists at Intentionalist, right, is about not just the amplification of diverse local businesses and the stories of the people behind them, but really moving money. And so I would encourage everybody today that if you're staying home on Small Business Saturday, or if you're staying home, staying healthy today on Support Black-Owned Business Friday, that you hit up our online gift certificate marketplace and support a diverse local business that way.
All right. Laura, we appreciate it. We definitely want to send everybody over there to the Intentionalist. You can go and support these Black businesses. I mean, I like that. And the gift certificates as well. Thank you so much for your time, Laura. We'll go wide right here. Thank you so much for your time. And man, the links are in the comments. So we want people to go there and check out the website. We'll be talking to you soon. Okay, Laura?
Thanks so much for all that you do.
Yes, all right. Thank you. The morning show continues. We're on the other side of this break. We're coming back with Nikki Barron. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you who might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, I want to thank you for all your support. All right, welcome back to the morning update show. And as you saw right there in that bumper, it's time for the COVID update with Nikki Barron. Well, go ahead and bring Nikki on screen, Oya.
Hey.
Hey, so we've only got a few minutes here in this segment today because we're running long, but the floor is yours. What's going on?
Let's just do a quick update on the numbers here. So they haven't updated the numbers since Wednesday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. But as of Wednesday, we have 153,000, almost 154 confirmed cases here in Washington State. Hospitalizations. So for the entire length of the pandemic, we've hit the 10,242 person mark. So that was an additional 76 hospitalizations. And our test positivity rate is currently 9.7 for the state of Washington, and that's 7.8 for King County. And that's really an important number because in order to open safely for indoor dining and things of that nature, we really need like a 2%, 4% being the top of that. So we're pretty far off from the goal. And I think that it's contributed to a lot of things. One of those things being travel and holiday travel. And when I looked at the travel numbers, we were still at about 50% of last year's travel numbers. So we still had, 1 million or so people moving around through airports anyway. The day before Thanksgiving, we did about 500,000 on Thanksgiving itself. So we still had a lot of people moving around, increasing the potential for spread of COVID in our communities. So those are the numbers.
All right, and before we let you go, what's your guesstimate? Not necessarily in numbers, but what are you feeling around this this weekend? A big shopping weekend. Traditionally, do you think that people are going to be out and about at stores, or you think that it's moving more towards online?
I think we're still going to see quite a bit of in-person shopping. There's a lot of, tradition involved in Black Friday shopping for people. There's also a lot of endorphins. We're all really kind of bummed out about COVID and a lot of other things that are happening in 2020. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking for that hit of endorphins from swiping those credit cards. But really, when I look at it, I think less about the people who are out there shopping and more about the people who are working in those shops. Because as we've talked about continuously here, the spread of COVID for essential workers and people who are working is a lot higher than other types of people in the workforce. So my main concern is that we're going to see a lot of spread between essential workers, people in retail jobs, things like that, because people are insisting on going out and shopping, and testing is backed up, especially in South King County, where we see most of the people who work in these positions. So that's where my big concern is. So I do see that we're going to have a spike from the holiday. I would be shocked if we didn't. Even just looking at my own Instagram stories, there was a lot of people gathering in groups with others that I know don't live together. So it's a little disappointing, but
yeah, absolutely. Nikki, thank you so much for always reporting these numbers. We really appreciate making sure our audience is informed. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Now, Trey Holiday, you were talking about how, of course, today, and really a lot of days for you. And this is the thing, we might have to go back to that, because remember when the Morning Update Show started, people would just rush to bring Trey Holiday all kinds of gear. But the big fella, I'm still over here struggling. Ain't nobody really like, yo, big O, rock this, wear this. But you're always representing local as much as you can, and usually ethnic all the time. But speaking of that, and speaking of supporting Black business and everything else, we talked to Kyle Hare the other day. I just kind of passed through there with my iPhone, opened Debonair Decor in the Pacific Place. Well, Jake Gravbrot and Bobby Stills and Eric Calligraphy. People haven't seen Eric in a minute. Eric Calligraphy, they went back over there to Debonair Decor inside a Pacific Place, and this is what they came up with.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Eric Calligraphy with Converge Media, and today I'm here with my brother KJ Kyle with Debonair Decor. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was your inspiration behind the store, and how this all came to be?
My name is Kyle Jaquay here. Debonair Decor. I'll just get straight to it, man. Essentially, the brand is just to honor my mother and my brother, who both recently passed away, and the last couple years. My brother, it just hit me hard. I was trying to just really get used to my mom, and then it happened with him. So, I just was feeling like I was going into a dark place, and I had to do something. I couldn't sleep, so I just started drawing, and I came up with my logo, the 2 Ds, which represent Deborah and Dion, and the 2 wings represent them now as my guardian angels. So Debonair is confident, stylish, fashionable, witty, charisma, book smart, street smart. That was my brother. That was me. We're a lot alike. So that's where the Debonair comes. And the decor come piece is to honor my mom. When we were younger and growing up in Inglewood, we had crazy colored couches and beautiful pastel colored drapes and plates and chandeliers and whatnot. And she was really into furniture and really neat and really into different colors. So the couture, it's kind of like the colors you see in the store is kind of to honor them. And who would ever thought I would be in the Pacific Place as a Black-owned business opening during a global pandemic. So I'm humbled, I'm thankful, and I'm grateful for all the support. And I want to push this thing to the limits. Who knows where it'll go. I'm happy that my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, she's in here painting and folding and sweeping and cleaning. So she's seeing, kind of how to be a business owner and whatnot. And just had the soft grand opening day before yesterday. But we're going to do another big thing, Black Friday and another thing. So it's a dope spot. Obviously, this was the old Coach store. We got crazy fixtures in here. We got suede walls. We got a lot of dope art. Honor Biggie, one of my favorite rappers. Jay-Z and Nas, they're legends. And obviously, rest in peace, Nipsey. It's keeping me alive. I needed something to kind of create, and it's helped me tap in with, my creativity. So I kind of always wanted to do my own store. But this store and this brand is special because, it sucks that my brother's gone. But obviously, I would rather have him alive. But if he was alive, I might have eventually did a brand, but it definitely wouldn't have been this name. So just, the meaning behind it, it's just dear to my heart, and it's emotional. A lot of times I don't feel like going. Like the other day, I was here to 3:30 working, and you're frustrated, and you don't right, but you got to just keep going. And I know they wouldn't want me to quit. So like I said, I'm putting everything into it. And as Bro would say, he would always tell me, you're filthy. So I'm just going to, like I said, when I get down, think about that and just keep going. And I think from, I'm doing this on my own dollar, haven't had any investors yet. You know what I'm saying? Because I know they're coming. You know what I'm saying? They're going to hop on,
they say
man.
in the church,
what
speak that to existence.
Get in while you can, man, because the price is going up. You feel me? But yeah, man. So it's like having a baby, man. Obviously I have 2 kids, and it's like a new project, and I'm really I'm hungry. I don't sleep. I wake up thinking about how can I make it better? How can I give excellent customer service?
You're doing your thing, and you mentioned your daughter, right?
Absolutely.
You're not only a Black business in Pacific Place. What is to you the importance of you being a Black-owned business right here in Pacific Place?
I think it's teaching my kid the importance of, he understands, to my daughter it's a store, but my son is like, how the hell did you pull this off? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the importance is showing my kids work ethic and showing them grinding more than anything, showing them being resilient, because stuff happens and life happens, and the only thing that we all promised in life is death. And I just keep going because my mom was like that. She never quit. When you see me grinding, you see me up at Chop, and you see me on Union, and I really was selling out the trunk and getting out the mud. This is just come overnight. I've been working 12 and 16 hours. I don't sleep, so it's and I haven't used this word in a long time, but I'm happy that I didn't quit, and I'm happy that just a vision and a dream and some hard work what it came to. And I think this is just the beginning.
All right, big congratulations. We can go wide here. Big congratulations to Kyle Hare and Debonair Decor over there at Pacific Place. You know, it's a leap of faith. The business owner, it's a leap of faith anywhere in the city, but it's a big leap of faith to open a business in downtown Seattle, where we talk about a lot of businesses are continuously closing up and shuttering. But, you know, he said, man, he's finishing the mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It really does take that resilience. I love him talking about how many hours a day he's added. I think when young people think about, oh, you know, some of this flashiness and this and that, they need to understand that hard work and that dedication is serious. And, you know, the Debonair Decor is one of my sons, my 6-year-old Johnny is one of his favorite sweatshirts. So I just want to give a big shout out. You know, I love supporting our local folks, man. And honestly, it's a great product. He has great fabric. It's very thick. So again, it's not like we're just supporting just to support. It's really great product.
And one of the things in our community is always like, you know, which is, it is what it is people always, they a certain part of our community wants the high street shopping experience. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so they want a high street shopping experience. And now, you know, there's all these other high street stores that are downtown. So now you have a reason, an excuse to go in there to Debonair Decor, you know, because some people are just like, man, they want that experience in Pacific Place. And you got Black business that you can support down there. One more thing here. Actually, we'll skip to the end here. I got another clip because 8 o'clock on Sunday is episode number 3 of Truly Unruly.
What advice would you guys give young parents that were in you guys' position? Like, if you can even, is it you just tell them like, hey, just roll with it? Or
yeah, there's no perfect parent, but what I will say is you need to adapt to your child. It is not about you. It is about that baby, and you've got to adapt to your child, especially if your child was like mine. Mm-hmm. You have to change your behavior and your actions for your baby so you don't shake him.
Truly Unruly. That's Marcus and Jessica Trufant, episode 3, Sunday at 8 p.m. Consistently here at Converge, wanting to uplift the concept, not even the concept, it is what it is, Black love and Black relationships. And it's always great to watch Marcus and Jessica. It's so natural.
Yeah, they really are. And I love what she was talking about there. I experienced that directly with my 2 kids. Amiri was, you know, and Johnny are 8 years apart. Amiri was, you tell me that's hot, I'm not going to touch it. All right, cool. I'm not with the whippings. I'm good. You know, you tell me one time, I'm going to do the right thing. Johnny, on the other hand, I had to completely change my approach because for him, he was like, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you how I get down. So again, I think she's so right. And sometimes as a parent, you think, hey, you know, I have this approach. It worked with my first child. I definitely had to adjust with my second. So I love that she uplifted that there.
Well, that's dope. And once again, I just wanted to shout out because we haven't seen Eric Calligraphy in you know, in a minute. It's been a lot of stuff that's been going on. So it was good to see Eric there in that clip with Debonair Decor, and also thank Jake Gravbrod and Bobby. You know those guys, they dispatch.
Right.
They go, they grab the cameras, the mics and everything, and you know, they're always down to tell stories.
You know, and one of the things I love though is that Converge is really full of like our community, man. I love seeing my brother Eric on these stories, you know what I'm saying? And long time ago, we were talking about all of this great production and him doing photography. So I just love seeing that we're utilizing great talent right here in our neighborhood, man, in our community.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to get out of here, and I will go over here to the wide shot. Okay. But I'll say this is that, man, support these Black businesses every day. But if you were looking for some kind, you know, if you might be in a place where there's not a lot of Black businesses, there's not, you know, whatever in our viewing area, and that's okay. And that's why it's like this website here, the Intentionalist. I mean, there's lots of businesses there. There's gift certificates there. Let's be intentional about spending money with Black businesses or raising awareness. You might share a Black business website, something like that, man. But let's literally be intentional about it. Huh?
I love it. Absolutely. Let's be intentional. And I'm just saying, you guys can look like this, shop local, and have some dope outfits. I'm just saying.
Gotcha.
You know, shout out to Dada Boss, shout out to Designs by Nikki, Niche by Nikki. You know what I'm saying? Got to give them love and show them support.
I know you're so happy to be back in the studio on this wide.
Man, it was hard at home. All you were seeing was this, bro.
Look at you. Will you look sharp? Any final words before we get out of here?
You know what? Make it a great Friday, and please enjoy this weekend. I know I am.
All right. So I think that's it. We got some ongoing coverage this weekend. Clearly, it's going to be some people in the streets. So we're going to be on top of that. But otherwise, I just, again, want to say thank you to our viewing audience. Thank you to all the people who support us one way or another. And, man, look forward to seeing you back here Monday at 11 a.m. Until then.
Peace.
Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day.